Hello everyone, welcome back to the Fitness Business Growth Podcast. My name is Jamie and I'm back with another solo episode to talk to you about the Matthew syndrome, the Steph syndrome, and the Natasha syndrome. Now you're probably thinking, what the hell are you talking about? But I'll bring this around full circle towards the end of the episode. Now, before I get into those syndromes, I want to talk about dumb people, smart people, and wise people. I've got some notes on my laptop in front of me. Now, you've probably heard this before. Dumb people make the same mistake time and time and time and time again. Smart people make the mistake and they learn from it. Wise people learn from other people's mistakes. Now, to give you an analogy, a dumb person touches a hot stove. They burn their hand. They don't learn the lesson, so they touch the hot stove again. They touch it again. They touch it again and end up with blisters on their hands. A smart person would touch the hot stove and never, ever touch it again. However, a wise person would find out that the stove is hot and they would never touch it to begin with. So they have learned the lesson without burning their hand. Now, to draw this back to business, dumb people make the same mistake time and time and time again. Now, there is things that you know what to do, and there are things that you don't know that you should be doing. So I'm going to assume that you know what you're doing because, for example, if you want to improve retention, a really good thing is on Monday, run a no-show report from the previous week. Reach out to that person via text, via call. If they haven't come in by Wednesday, reach out to them again. Now, if you have that information and you know why that's important and you know it will prevent cancellations and you don't do it, you are dumb. And I know that is a hard thing to accept because you would never ever consider yourself a dumb person. However, you had the information, you're not doing it, you're making the same mistake time and time and time again. And that is why businesses can remain in the same place for weeks, months, even years, because you keep making the same mistake time and time again. Now, a smart person would understand that this is important. Hey, run a no-show report on Monday, text the leads, call the leads, and moving forward, they would do it. They would then miss a week because it's a public holiday, they're away on Monday. They'd get cancellations that week or more than the previous week, and they'd think, fuck, I didn't run the no-show report. I need to do that every single week. So the smart person learns from the mistake. Now, the wise person learns from other people's mistakes. So before you even open up the gym, you talk to a mentor, you talk to a coach, you listen to a podcast, you understand the importance of retention. So you run that no-show report from week one. Now, the dumb person never, ever, ever moves forward. The smart person tends to move forward. However, sometimes these mistakes can be extremely costly. So, for example, if you sign a bad lease and you learn your lesson, you might never sign a bad lease again. However, now you're stuck for 5 years. So, even the smart person, it's important that the mistake that you make isn't fatal. It doesn't ruin the business. So ensuring that if you are going to make a mistake, make sure it's only minor and it won't close down. So in my career, we got lucky several times. So in our first location, I was happy to sign a 10-year lease. Mitch talked me out of it. He said, "No, let's just do 3." So if I made that mistake and we committed to that 10-year lease, I wouldn't have signed another 10-year lease, but I'd still be paying for it today. So again, even smart people try to avoid the mistakes. And the wise person, before signing a lease, they talk to other gym owners, they talk to other business owners, they'd make sure the DA is in place, they'd make sure that the rent doesn't increase every single year by 7%, it's just in line with inflation. They'd learn all that before they even start. So I want to ask you a question. I want you to think about, are there areas in your business where you are being dumb, where you're making the same mistake time and time and time again? Are there areas in your business that you make massive mistakes, you learn and improve upon? That's the case, great. But could you save yourself the mistake? Could you save yourself going 1 step forward, 2 steps backward by becoming a wise person and learning from other? And where in your business have you been wise? where you've reached out for help, you've done your own research, you spent a morning on ChatGPT, and you actually dodged a bullet. So in your business, are there areas where you're being dumb, where you're being smart, where you're being wise? And can you ensure that moving forward, you are the wise person, where you learn from other people's mistakes? You learn that the stove is hot before you touch it. You never touch it, you never end up with a burnt hand. Now, this brings me around to a few things that Mitch and I have realized over the years. Now, I don't think anyone is dumb. I think what happens is that you make the mistake, you forget the mistake occurred because life is busy, we've got a lot going on, there's 100 things in the business, and then you make the mistake again, and then you forget about it, and then you make the mistake again, because no one in their right mind that is passionate and cares about their business would continue to make the same fucking mistake if they remembered it, if they were also aware that it was a mistake. So what is the Matthew syndrome? What is the Steph syndrome? And what is the Natasha syndrome? Now, every single mistake that we've learned in business, Mitch and I have assigned a name to it, the person who taught us the lesson. That way, if we encounter a very similar situation, we can go, hey, the Matthew syndrome, I'm not making that mistake again. The Natasha syndrome, I'm not making that mistake again. The Steph syndrome, I'm not making that mistake again. So it's a quick reference point for you to remember, like, hey, I've been here before. This was a mistake. I'm not going to do it again. This is what I'd learned. So it's almost like having a list of your mistakes front of mind for you to withdraw quickly if you so need to. Now, the Matthew syndrome is one of the most powerful things that Mitch and I learned early on in business. So we were running a 6-week challenge for $300. Now, our regular ongoing membership was $60 per week. So the full cost of 6 weeks is typically $360. So we're in a 6-week challenge for $300. It was $60 cheaper than the actual membership. It should have been $360. Now, Matt came into the business. He lost 13 kilos in 6 weeks. He won the cash prize of $1,000. And then towards the end of the challenge, we had that conversation around continuing on. He's like, oh, I was happy to pay 50, but 60, too much. So he'd lost 13 kilos. He won $1,000. But in his mind, he associated that our program is worth $50 per week, and we couldn't get him any higher. We couldn't get him an extra $10 per week. So the Matthew syndrome taught us to always charge the right price from day one. Now, there is a time for free offers. There are certain modalities of fitness. They do well on cheap inter offers, but the vast majority of business owners, the vast majority of functional studio owners, the vast majority of martial arts owners should be charging the right price from day one. When I talk to owners, they often say like, oh, like why would they join if the price is exactly the same? And for what I've encountered, the price is very rarely the barrier. Don't get me wrong, you do get a cost objection here and there. The hardest part is getting them on the fucking phone or getting them into your business in the first place. If they have shown interest, they've rocked up to a phone call, they've rocked up to your gym, you've had a consultation, it's clear you can solve their problem. Do you really think they're going to make a decision based on $10 when they've got so much sunk cost in that process? So the Matthew syndrome taught us always charge the right price from day one, because he lost 13 kilos in 6 weeks. He won $1,000 cash, and he still bounced because he was comfortable paying 50 a week, not 60 per week. So whenever we encounter this, whenever we think about discounting our prices, whenever anyone asks us for a discount, we think the Matthew syndrome. So I'd challenge you in your business to think about what are mistakes you keep making, who taught you the lesson, and how can you never, ever forget it. Now, the Natasha syndrome is one that I talk about every single day with owners that I talk to. Now, the year is 2016. We have our first location. I am 26, 27. The business is booming. Everyone's happy. It's a great community. It's a great vibe. But at 6 a.m., 5 days a week, there's a member called Natasha. And you already know Natasha. You know who Natasha is right now. It is that loud voice in your business that is always telling you what to do, making suggestions, making recommendations. And typically her sentence begin with, hey, Jamie, a lot of the members are saying this. Hey, Jamie, a lot of the members think we should be doing this. Hey, Jamie, I feel as though, as well as other members feel the same way, that we should be doing this. And she will just bark orders at you to change your entire business because that is who she is as a person. So for weeks and weeks and weeks, she was at me saying, "Hey, Jamie, every single member thinks we should get a suggestion box." I'm like, "Okay, well, did you ask every single member?" But I believed her. So between 11 and 4, I went out in between sessions to Officeworks and I actually bought a suggestion box. I put it on the counter and I thought, wow, Natasha's going to really love this. And I listened to her. I put this into action and now the box is there. Next morning it arrived. So this is great. Thank you so much. 24 hours later, I open the suggestion box and there's about 30 fucking suggestions in there, all with the same handwriting. Guess whose handwriting it was? It was fucking Natasha. So Natasha was the only member that wanted that suggestion box. Natasha was the only person who was writing down suggestions. And now I'm stuck in my business with a fucking suggestion box for this person to constantly complain into and then also encourage other members to complain. I made the mistake again because I'm a dumb person in this situation. "Jamie, we really want to get a boxing bag. Can you please hang a boxing bag? This would be great. All the members love it." So we fucking anchored a boxing bag to the roof. About a month later, she cancelled. So now I'm stuck with a suggestion box and a boxing bag, which is going to come out of our lease if we ever move building because we went through the roof to like anchor it. So the Natasha syndrome is running wild through all fitness businesses. It is the person who just complains. It's the loud voice in the room. It's the person you go home to and to complain to your partner about. You can never, ever give into that person. You give them an inch, they will take a mile. Another situation was Mitch and I were working in Anytime Fitness. We were membership consultants. We were selling PT, like 2014. So I've done this my entire adult life. The gym was popping off. We had a massive month of membership sales. We had a massive month of personal training sales. And Marguerite was the GM. And we kind of came in to turn around the club. So she didn't really like us to begin with. And she's like, boys, you have to stop this. Like this is great that all the members are coming through. It's great that all the personal trainers are getting filled up. But it's too much going on. The gym's filthy. All the members are complaining. All the members are saying how dirty the gym is. And Mitch, typically the softer spoken out of the two of us, the more logical one, the more calm. She said, "Marguerite, which member said that?" It's like, "Oh, it's like all of them." It's like Mitch is like, could you just name one of them?" Yeah, it was the other day. It was Peter. Okay, and what did Peter actually say? Did he say the gym was dirty? Did he say that the floors need mopping? Did he say the showers, toilets were filthy? No, he said that one of the bins was full. So Marguerite made up this commotion of every member thinks the gym is dirty. Every member thinks there's too much going on. It's too busy. We need to get a cleaning team in. And what it came down to was one person said that the bin was full. And at this point, we had no context. Pete, the guy, may have said, "Hey guys, just to let you know, I tracked out my pre-workout and the bin's full. Just a heads up. Cheers. Have a good day." So the Natasha syndrome, the Marguerite syndrome, name it in your business. Who is that person that has made suggestions? If you ever think about increasing your prices, that person will be the first person that comes to your mind. That person is more likely to complain. That person is more likely to complain to the other members also. So you need to fuck the Natashas off out of your gym. It's something that every owner I talk with, like, oh, if we add, is a great example. Semi-private is 4-on-1. We start selling people into their business and it gets full pretty quickly. They can either add more sessions or add more people into each session. So I've mentioned like, hey, like there are some businesses out there that have 36 people in a class. If you were to go from 4-on-1 to 6-on-1, that would make a massive difference to your profit. It's like, oh, but like all the members just love the 4-on-1. It's why they come here. It's what they told me about. I'm like, no, okay. All the members, give me the person. What is their name? What do they look like? Who said that? And it comes down to, it was fucking Natasha again. So be careful of that member in your business. That literally prevents you from making positive changes to put more money in your pocket to support your family. Get rid of that person. Now, the third syndrome I want to talk about today is the Steph syndrome. Now, this is the syndrome that I'm probably most ashamed of because I've done it fucking thousands of times. Earlier in the piece, we increased our membership prices by 20%, went from $40 to $50 per week. Now, the next two people that came down was a girl called Steph and a girl called Charlene. Steph was the first person that signed up at this newer price. Now, this time, me and Mitch were so happy, we were so excited, we were so over the moon. It's the highest amount we'd ever charged for a membership. We thought the next 100 members at this higher price is going to result in this much profit. And for the next 5 or 10 people, we kept that exact same price. But somewhere along the way, I don't know what happened, but we ended up going back to the old pricing, which was like $40 per week. Now, I can't remember exactly, but I'm sure it would have been a member who was on an existing price, referred a friend, and I honored that pricing. Whether that's right or wrong, you decide. Also, maybe someone that I had DM'd previously a couple of months ago said, hey, I'm ready to come down again. And the price I quoted was the old price. We went back to the old pricing. And then we just never went back up again. And we signed up another 1,000 people at that old price. Now, that causes two issues. If you have to sell so many people into your business at a lower price that you can't possibly provide a great service, it means people will often churn out faster. Also, if your membership is lower than it should be, you can't actually provide the value that they need. You haven't got enough money in the business to buy more equipment, to do those events, to hire higher quality staff. So we increased the prices, dropped them back down, and I'm ashamed to say this wasn't the first and only time I did this. I did this in the vast majority of studios that we opened. It took us about 2 or 3 years to learn this lesson. And we often think back to if we increase the prices and we stayed there, or we increase them again, we would have needed so many less members to make the same amount of money. That less, the members there, less amount, would have got a better result and a better service. And it would have extended the lifetime of those business because we wouldn't have crammed people through on that cheap price. So the Matthew syndrome, charge the right prices from day one, super important lesson for us. It's what our done for you service is based off. The Natasha syndrome is don't let the loud voice in the business make you make any changes that you're not comfortable with and prevent you from doing things that are going to be overwhelmingly positive for your business. And the Steph syndrome, if you are going to increase your prices, never ever go back to that same rate. Keep the new prices, and at the end of the day, keep getting them higher and higher and higher. So again, dumb people make the same mistake over and over again. Their businesses stay stuck. Smart people make a mistake, they don't make it again, but sometimes that mistake is catastrophic, signing a long, expensive lease that isn't going to work from day one. So don't be a dumb person. Being a smart person is better, but being a wise person is what you should aspire to be. It's what I still aspire to be, where you learn from other people's mistakes. So before you sign that catastrophic lease, you talk to other owners, you get a better idea, you ask for a smaller lease term, you ask for a cheaper lease price, you get the first couple of months free, you ask them to pay for some of the fit out. Okay, so guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I encourage you to think about mistakes that you've made in your business, mistakes that you've probably forgotten that you've made, that you continue to make, and I want you to assign a name to it. Assign a name to it so it's always front of mind, so you never, ever forget it again. Guys, I hope you enjoyed that episode. Click subscribe, and I hope you have a lovely, lovely day. Thanks.